Nigeria has always been a big brother and backbone of Africa. In case you don't know, let me remind you. In October 1990, Nigeria deployed over 5,000 troops, which is about 84% of the 6,000 troops that were sent to Liberia during the First Civil War, which began in 1989.
Let's go! Let's go!
Between 1991 and 93, when the ECOMOG standing troops rose to 12,000, Nigeria alone contributed 10,000 troops, which is about 83% of the total soldiers from the whole of West Africa that came to assist Liberia. Nigerian peacekeepers were able to restore peace in Liberia and help them to recruit and train the new Liberian soldiers and officers. The Nigerian military also remained in Liberia to monitor a ceasefire agreement following the resignation of President Charles Taylor and the conclusion of the Second Liberia Civil War. I see young Liberians and Sierra Leoneans below the age of 25 today on every social media platform doing their thing happily. But little did they know that Nigeria was once home to their parents and elder ones as refugees. The history of the walk to freedom in South Africa, when told, will never be complete without the acknowledgement of the big brother role Nigeria contributed to the emancipation of South Africa from the grip of apartheid. Let me also remind the Generation Z in South Africa that Nigeria's civil servants paid a so-called Mandela tax to support the African National Congress that are fighting the apartheid. Little did South Africans know that the Nigerian students keep their lunch just because the government told them it needed to save money to be able to provide food for their brothers and sisters in faraway South Africa who are being starved by the apartheid government.
Xenophobia violence seems to be spreading among foreign nationals here.
If history is being taught in South Africa, the black South Africans will never be xenophobic towards a fellow black man.
After 27 years, his head was high and his fist was clenched. Nelson Mandela walked out of Victor Verster prison today like a chief of state, flanked by his first lady and by the men who'd been hired to protect him. There they were, the South African State Police, providing security for the man who'd once been the most wanted man in Africa.
Do you know that Nigeria has the largest amount of natural gas reserves in Africa? South Africa's largest import of crude oil comes from Nigeria. In 2021 alone, South Africa imported crude oil from Nigeria to the tune of $2.17 billion, according to the United Nations Comtrade database on international trade. Benin Republic, Ghana, and Togo's electricity depends largely on the gas supply from the Nigeria-Niger Delta Escravos region through the natural gas pipeline known as the West African Gas Pipeline. In 2021, Benin Republic, with a small population of 13 million, imported more than 1.2 million tons of rice from India alone, making it Africa's largest importer of the Indian grain, according to the data from India's Ministry of Commerce and Industry. These tons of rice are repackaged and smuggled into the Nigerian cities through the land borders. In fact, Benin Republic is heavily dependent on Nigeria for most of its exports. Its economy is primarily based on informal trade with Nigeria. Imagine that Nigeria is not on the border with Benin Republic. What will happen to Benin economy? Yahya Jammeh ruled Gambia for 22 years, but eventually he lost the election in 2016 to Adama Barrow. But as expected of most African dictators, he refused to step down. Nigeria came to play the big brother role. President Muhammadu Buhari of Nigeria gave Yahya Jammeh 2 weeks to step down from that office or face the consequence of his action. As usual, Yahya Jammeh became adamant that he was not going to step down. Nigeria deployed its military might to the borders of Gambia. Yahya Jammeh, from his presidential lodge, could hear the sound of Nigerian fighter jet hovering the skies of Gambia. He knew trouble was coming for him. Nobody told him before he spoke to himself that this is the time to leave. A day before the expiration of the deadline, he fled out of Gambia. Nigeria is the custodian of peace and security in the whole of Africa. Imagine if Nigeria goes to war today. With a population of 200 million, where would everybody run to as refugee? The Western world know this. That is the reason why they will do everything possible to keep Nigeria peaceful, because they know if the population of Nigeria disperses, Europe will never be safe and America too will never be safe. No matter how you see it, Nigerians are diehard people and are eager to succeed regardless of the terrain. Imagine the rate at which Nigerians are going through the sea just to get to Europe, despite the fact that there is no war in Nigeria today. We hear the story of people dying while trying to cross the sea to get to Europe. Imagine if there's war in Nigeria today. Nigerians will defy the odds. They will build their own canoe right at the shores of Libya just to cross to Europe. Even if they are dying, they will get there. The giant of Africa may be sleeping, but is still in control. Nigeria the hero.